Hello. First, I wanted to say thank you to Felipe for making the wonderful video series. I've loved every word. So keep it up, man. So I personally have been transitioning to raw veganism, and this actually was coming from some meat eating. So I basically skipped vegetarianism and veganism. Well, I think that I'm better off because of it. And really my reasoning behind making that jump was not exactly what you were talking about. The sun in my face. It's where I love the sun in my face. I just love it. But my reasons were not exactly what you were talking about, the abuse of animals and whatnot like that. I tended not to want to think about that when I was eating meat, and most people don't, you know what I mean? So that didn't really enter into my reasoning, and eventually the reasoning was that, well, everything is energy, so animals are energy too, so then it's fine to consume animals. So I personally don't have anything against meat eaters. That's just, you know, a step in their path that they're going to have to go through. The real reason why I stopped eating meat was energy. It's not an energy efficient means of digestion. It leads to like an acid state. It leads to fat buildup. And I've just seen it over and over again. Like at the grocery store, I don't even go in this area of the grocery store anymore, but there's like, you know, the meat aisle, and there'll be all these really obese people kind of trolling along with their carts, and I'm just like, keep me out of there. Because I like, you know, my body needs to be around reflections of myself, and being around obese people is not a reflection of that. So like you said, we need my exterior environment to match my interior, which has been becoming more geometrically sound and advancing. I've talked about this earlier, probably didn't describe it very well. Fractalization of self is what I call it. Is like you said, your geometry is matching up because of what you consume. It's matching up to God. And that's fantastic. Who doesn't want to be God? You know what I mean? And thinking that God is an exterior being, I'm over it. So God is within. A lot of words coming out. I gotta stop and do some breathing. Okay, so I wanted to take this a little bit further than where you went with the vegetarianism topic, because that's where my brain has been for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 months, is thinking along the lines of living on light. Energy coming from the sun, digested through, you know, obviously plants and animals are where most people get it. Water. But really, what you might want to consider when you talk about, you know, the mirror image of God, well, God wouldn't need to kill anything to live. A plant is still a being. It's still a live being. You still have to consume it and make it one with you. And this plays along into a lot of this other stuff that I've been talking about and thinking about, which is archetypes. So if you consider an archetypal being, they exist as a universal energy pattern that is built into the fabric of space. This would be like angels and fairies, I guess you could say, and other things like otherworldly beings, which are right next to us. We just don't see them. But so they exist as energy patterns. So they don't. I mean, would you think of an angel as needing to eat things? Like, it just no. It boggles my mind. I wouldn't even think of that. So that's another thing to consider, and this has been leading me on this wonderful path, which is going more towards living on light, like I said. And in the process of that, being raw vegan. And I'm going to get there. This is going to happen. And I believe anybody can do this. So if you've ever said anything is possible, if you've ever paid lip service to that idea, you might want to think, can we live on light only? We're light beings. Everything is energy, vibration, sound, color, just like Felipe said, right? So, what's the holdup? You know what I mean? I understand that it's not an easy thing to believe, and I'm not all the way 100% believing this yet. You know, this is what I've been dealing with the last few couple months at least. These patterns, I've run into these patterns like, oh, you know, whenever I'm at such and such place, I'll eat this such and such food with these people. You know, this is a pattern. It's like, you know, if you had gone to parties before, you might be able to see that kind of pattern. Okay, you would go to the party and then, you know, drink beer, and then such and such would happen, and it falls along these archetypal paths. And you can kind of sense that if you think about it more retrospectively. And it's kind of why I don't really go to drinking parties. Because it's really strange. Because it's like a lower vibrational energy pattern. And I'm not that into that. I'm into higher vibrational energy patterns. But I've been dealing with running into these patterns and programs that have been built into my mind from living in the structure that humans have currently built around themselves. And it's really, really trippy and interesting. And I'm really lucky that my belief systems aren't that ingrained. Like when I was younger, I threw off the notion of God for a long time. And that was because it just didn't make sense. The version of it that you were given doesn't make sense. Sin being the main stumbling block behind that, and the guilt that they try to install on you because of your sin. That was the main reason. I'm back now to believing in God, because God is everything and I am God. So that's a little bit higher vibrational pattern, and there's no mistakes or sins, there's experiences. God experiencing itself as its different level of vibration. We know this, we're getting this, we're feeling this. And if you're watching this video, you probably understand what I'm talking about. And thank you for watching. So yes, moving through the patterns, and I still have to honor them, and I know that people who eat meat still need to honor their patterns, even as they're hopefully moving out of that pattern. And I really would like for them to, because it would make our whole field structure here in the Gaia field structure, that's what I call Earth now, it would make the field structure more harmonious. And we would, as a collective being here, the Gaia being, will be able to move into this new reality where we don't have to eat, we don't have to kill any beings to live. This idea came up were the 60s and 70s or something, as far as I can tell from the media. I obviously wasn't alive for that period of time or whatever. But the idea that, oh, well, astronauts, well, they're just going to live off, you know, synthesized nutrients, minerals, and, you know, that's how everybody's going to live in the future. Yeah, you know, that came out, and then what happened? Why aren't we moving that towards that now? You know, purely synthesized, not the way things are processed now. Obviously, that might not work now. But yeah, so I know, Felipe, you're probably not going to make a video of talking about how we should live on light. I'm not sure that you're into believing that that is possible, but I hope you consider it, and I really am getting there. My beliefs are slowly but surely turning themselves over into new, higher possibilities, and that's another one that people say, you know, your belief creates reality, and a lot of the people, they'll use that to, you know, acquire materials and law of attraction and all that. Well, that's a little bit limited. So if belief creates reality, let's create something really, really hella awesome instead of just, I got a car and now a lot of money, and now my wife's just screwing me over because she only likes me because I'm rich. And you know, the limited paradigms that can come up. And when we're not expanding, we're revisiting the past ideas of and vibrations of greed and self-service. And I'd like to move past that. So that's where I'm at anyways. And I guess I should wrap this up. Getting kind of long here. Just wanted to make a quick response. And thank you again, Felipe. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful night, day, morning, whatever it is where you are. Have a good one. Namaste.